start on time, that's the number one rule.
All right. Good evening, seeing it is now 5:30. A joint meeting of the Board of Public Works Commissioners and the Committee of Infrastructure is being held this Thursday, June 26, 2025, at 5:30 p.m. at 848 West Hollow Street. And will my clerk please call the roll?
I absolutely will.
Thank you.
Commissioner Manny Especia.
Presente.
Commissioner Matthew Gregg.
Here.
Commissioner June Lemon.
Here.
Commissioner Paul Shea.
Here.
Alderman Chris Thibodeau.
Here.
Alderman John Sullivan.
Here.
Alderman Richard Dow.
Present.
Alderman Patricia Glee is here, and Alderman at Large Michael O'Brien.
Thank you. Also in attendance?
No, here.
Oh, here.
You have 9 in attendance.
Okay. I'll catch up, thank you. Also in attendance is His Honor the Mayor, which is Chairman of the Board of Public Works, is also here. And Lisa Foto is here. And we're also joined by Director of Administrative Services, Mr. Tim Cummings, Mr. Joe Sullivan, and am I leaving anybody out?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we also have Scott Leclerc, who is with the project as the MEP consultant for our work this
And
evening.
he's on Zoom?
He
No,
is,
right
No, he's right there, okay. Sorry
Can't see
about
him.
that, welcome, okay. All right. We got everybody, I think, so that's it. Okay, general introductory remarks. The only thing I'm just going to say is this. Other committees that we had, other meetings, we didn't really have a complete attendance. This group is good, but I'll just say it in general. This is not meant pointing any type of fingers or anything. If you can't make a meeting, let us know, okay? Our central person is our administrative assistant or Mr. Cummings. And the reason for that is summertime's coming. We all got something to do. And just to make sure we do have a quorum. So, in that cautionary note, that's it. So now we'll go into approval of minutes. My clerk, Alderman Clee.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I motion to approve the minutes of May 28th, 2025.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And which leads us into a general progress update, which on this DPW garage project is be the general update, design update, and financial update. To do all this, I'll recognize Administrative Services Director Tim Cummings, Mr. Joe Sullivan, and Mr. Keith Kiley.
and that's a substitution. It's going to be Scott Leclerc.
Scott Leclerc is right there for Mr. Kiley. All right.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you. So Tim Cummings, Director of Administrative Services. Just a couple housekeeping items I want to touch upon before I hand it over to our owner's project manager, Joe Sullivan, who's to my right, who will go into a more detailed project update for you again in just a few moments. So a couple quick things I want to make everyone aware of. First and foremost, I want to just set the table by making clear that there had been a discussion earlier this week, end of last week, about the 848 West Hollow Street DPW sign being on this committee's agenda. Upon further consultation with the legal department, it's actually more appropriate for it to be on the Board of Public Works agenda. So some of you may have been thinking that you'd hear about it this evening. That's not the case. It's more appropriate for it to come before the Board of Public Works. So that's an FYI for you all. Secondly, on the agenda, it had Keith Kelly noted. As I mentioned, it's Scott Leclerc. He's here tonight to speak about some of the sustainability efforts that we are undertaking with this project, which we have been working closely with our sustainability group in community development. Then lastly, I updated the agenda packet with a revised proposal that is in the packet for $180,000. And so the agenda reads for the June 19th, 2025 proposal from HKT Architect, because that's how it was originally filed. But hot off the presses, yesterday, we were able to work with HKT. I was able to update the packet. We are only going to move forward with schematic design at $180,000, and that's for the wastewater treatment plant building design, and we are in the early stages of that. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the agenda, but I did just want to flush that out or flag that for you all at the top of this meeting, so we were all aware of the latest updates. So, Mr. Chairman, with those comments being made, I'm going to hand it over to Joe Sullivan this evening. He's going to give everyone a quick overview of where we're at relative to the project and be able to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director Cummings. Although I would like to, Mr. Leclerc, instead of like backbenching, you want to come up and join the group since it sounds like you'll be part of the presentation. You want to sit next to Mr. Sullivan, or you can sit down here? There seems to be room, but you are welcome, sir. All right, thank you. Mr. Sullivan, thank you for the delay.
I'd like to just, thank you for having me. Small presentation with the updates. That a lot of work's been going behind the scenes over the last 3 to 4 weeks that we've been working on. The presentation, I'll go through each slide in detail. Interrupt me at any time if you have any questions related to any of the information I'm providing you. Completed tasks over the past month, basically. We continually meet weekly. And it's more than just meeting weekly with the design team. We meet weekly with the Department of Public Works. We meet with any of the engineers of record that are, whether it's permitting all the way through any of the consultants for, sustainability. We meet with the groups related to any of the components, the materials that we're looking to actually put forth towards this new facility. We currently inquired a pre-engineered, we brought that to your attention last meeting, that we were looking at making part of this building pre-engineered building for reducing the cost of the overall project. Harvey's engaged Bode, construction was brought in. We're actually working with their engineers, their structural engineers, to work closely with HKT to ensure that the continuity of conventional construction and the pre-engineered go seamless. And the reasons for that is that sometimes when you have a pre-engineered building, it's a box, and you don't necessarily get all of the necessary design details to really make sure it flows with the conventional construction. So we purposely did this process to make sure that both parties are talking regularly. IMEG has started the process of planning ahead and permitting with the City of Nashua and the DES. One of the things that we did today, there were 9 of us on a call this morning, talking about every component and every deliverable that's going to be required by each division as we move through that process. There are going to be a number of permits, a number of approvals that we're going to be looking for moving forward, and we're identifying them early on so that if there becomes a issue where something gets dragged later than what our proposed schedule is, we want to be able to discuss it and identify it and try to work through those processes. We actually received our schematic design, and we did another cost estimate just to make sure that we're within striking distance of what we reported earlier. And we are, the bottom line. Where, there's going to be, at each portion, whether it's schematic design development, and all the way to construction documents, there are going to be provisions through that exercise that are going to identify either escalation costs associated with any component or reductions that we're looking to make. And each time we do that, it's a detailed conversation with Lisa and the team just to discuss where those items are identified and how we're addressing them as we move forward without jeopardizing the program. That's the bottom line. She needs to meet her program needs for the next 50 to 75 years, and we want to make sure this building accommodates that. GSI was brought back in. We're going to be doing some additional test pits just because we're touching 13 acres on this site. There's a lot of material that we need to go through and identify and make sure that, you know, the soil conditions not only meet the building requirements, but meet the drainage and water infiltration that we're going to end up having to do. And as we approach design development, the committee will continue to refine the design and look for the efficiencies so that we can try to reduce the costs to the bare minimum as we move forward. Project design, the civil drawing, actually IMEG has done a lot of work. One of the things that we really wanted to do, the department wanted to do a little bit of early work on the property ahead of time to try to save costs. One of those items, we needed to really identify the limit of work, and they've done that. They actually show the building currently that it fits on the site, it works. We met today to go through some of the infrastructure of the retention of the water that we need to retain on the site, and you know, it's challenging, and there were a lot of conversations of, you know, best systems to use and the most effective and efficient for that site, and we're going to be working over that over the next, 2 weeks to 3 weeks. Overall, the building fits, and it's actually the flow, traffic flow, and the efficiency of it. We worked over the last 3 weeks to make sure that it all works for the department as well as the public as we move into this building. Project design, you know, the HKT is working very closely with Lisa and her team just to make sure that they're being heard and they're addressing some of their concerns as they move forward. They meet regularly with not only the exterior aesthetics, but the interior program requirements and the flow and the use of this building. They're definitive on exactly, you know, what they're looking for this building, and the ideal goal is to make sure that they deliver that product at the end of it. The next slide is, I'm going to turn over, and I'm sure you have a little bit to share with them.
Sure, yeah, so I just wanted to kind of step through the energy efficiency and sustainability measures that we currently have in the project, and working through. We have several of them. There's a lot of good opportunities here with this size building and this site. So starting right off the top, we're using low temperature heating systems. Those are kind of a future proofing concept to allow us to be able to use sort of high efficiency heat pumps and other types of heating systems that are kind of being developed into the future. So that's going throughout the building. Obviously high efficiency lighting and lighting controls. There's a lot of space here, and we don't want all the lights to be on all the time. We want to be able to take advantage of that. One of the big things here is the methane recovery. You may or not know that there's 2 engine generators running down the hill here 24/7, essentially 365, that are burning off the methane gas off the landfill. And the heat from those generators goes up the stacker, has been going out of radiators for many years here. So we're going to recover a bunch of that heat and use that to heat essentially the whole facility, including this one. So, so that's a big plus for the project, to be able to get that sort of free heat, if you know what I mean, that's right there down the hill and been going up the stack for many years. We are using radiant floor systems in the maintenance building to put the heat where the people are and not try to just heat these giant volumes. You know, most of the people are right down low there. We're using infrared radiant tube heaters in the vehicle storage. Those again put the heat where we need it, particularly for snow melt and things like that during the snow emergencies. Very efficient. Again, don't have to heat up those big spaces, just the stuff that's in it. All on the ventilation side, we have kind of some relatively robust ventilation requirements because of all the vehicles and different things going on in the building. So we're using energy recovery so that any air that goes out of the building, we take the heat and the cooling from it and put it back into the ventilation that's coming in so that we're not using extra energy. The office spaces are going to be developed kind of similar to this building, which has a high efficiency, they call it a variable refrigerant volume system, which has very high energy efficiency. We are going to have on-site EV where we need it, as well as obviously in the building and some of these put in the maintenance side. We're looking at increased building envelope performance, both on the roof and the wall systems, and we're modeling those to make sure we get the sort of best bang for the buck when it comes to those. And then we are making this building solar ready and talking about various options that the city may have, either as the project progresses or in the future with being able to use solar electric power to, offset the usages of the building as well. So some pretty significant sustainability measures going on, good opportunities. I think we're, going to be pretty successful with minimizing the energy use and for this building in particular.
So
thanks.
as we discussed earlier, we indicated that it will be solar ready. All of the infrastructure, all of the conduit leading from point A to point B will be in place in the event that, we move forward with solar. And we're sizing the building appropriately so it'll be able to carry it as well. Yep.
So the schools, we've been using a public-private partnership with, to have solar on the schools. So first concern is you want to make sure the roof can handle the weight of the solar panels.
Yep, that's exactly the point I was bringing up just a second ago. And back 15 years ago, there were grants out there that were partnering with that. Right now, there's nothing out there that's doing that. It's not to say that we're not constantly looking for, alternatives that way, but, if it was built 15 years ago, we could have partnered with somebody and had that done initially, but it's just not there available right.
So Revision Energy isn't doing any more of that?
Yeah, they are, but it's not, it's private equities, like they're privatizing it, that's all.
And so, if I may, Mr. Chairman, just want to quickly jump in on a couple points here.
Sure.
One, working closely hand in glove with the sustainability group. They are aware of these items and the effort at hand. Speaking to the solar panels and being solar ready, there's an appetite or desire to do something across multiple buildings in the city. So we would like to make sure we're in a position to be able to do that when the time is right. That's something that the sustainability group, I think, wants to work on over the next year or so. So if we could have this roof designed in a way to help support that effort, that would be a big win for us from a sustainability perspective. Lastly, want to make sure it's clear, there had been talk early on about this microgrid concept. You're not seeing it on the list this evening. That is by no means to say that we're not going to continue pursuing the project. I think it's something that the sustainability group and myself, along with DPW and emergency management, we want to see it happen. It's just not necessarily timing-wise working out to fit with this project. That's mainly driven a lot because I don't know if any of you have had to deal with Eversource, but I'll leave my comments there with that. And then, Mr. Chairman, finally, if we're done on the sustainability slide, I did want to quickly go back to the civil, because I did want to kind of just quickly tease out and note something, and I'm not sure if the mouse is working here, and I'm not going to be 100% accurate, but as we've developed the design, what we learned is right in and around this area right here, there's the fire training facility. And so to be able to accommodate the fire department, who we've been working very closely with, we're going to look to relocate that training facility to another side of the landfill. Some of you may have already heard about this because there's a permitting initiative that needs to occur. There was a neighborhood meeting that occurred because we didn't want to surprise anyone. This is really hot off the presses as we've developed the design and saw how close we were starting to get into that area. We wanted to flush that out with you this evening as well, to just make you aware that that's part of the conversation here, so folks know that that's something that will be coming down the pike as well. And again, we've been working with the fire department on that. So I just wanted to kind of tease that out as well. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Director Cummings. And you brought it up, but in moving the fire department facility, I'm not sure exactly where it's going to be, the footprint of it. But I imagine we're laying new sewer connections and the like for this Public Works garage.
The sewer connection to the Public Works garage, yes?
Right.
Yep.
Are we close to where the fire facility will be? And so, in other words, put a port that the fire department, if they so choose in the future, will be able to connect to it.
I don't know if we've gotten that far to say whether there would be a sewer line. I do know that there will be a water line, so I would have to check on that.
Yeah.
At least-
Just what comes in goes out.
Yeah.
So there will be a water line, and there'll be 2 new hydrants. I believe we talked about septic rather than running sewer.
Okay, so I just wanted to throw it out there while we get the hole in the ground
Correct.
for efficiency.
The point's well taken that you got to have a two-way kind of thought process, and we're trying to design and work towards that.
Yeah, okay.
So
Alderman Dow.
I think it's Gillis Street. Is that the name of the street? It's
I know it's in the rear of the landfill.
it's the rear of the
It's
landfill and it's off a public street.
Fire is proposing to come in through Teak.
Teak. So, anyway, I just wanted to, since we're doing an overall project update, I thought it was important just to mention that so folks were aware. Thank you.
Yeah, and to Tim's point, they're working simultaneously right now, so one's not affecting the other right now. They're being really proactive, working with the fire department.
And to that point, they're 2 independent projects.
Right, bottom line funding. wise.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, clearly understand they are 2 independent and, and the like, but, well, you got the hole dug. That's all.
Yep.
Yep.
That was great.
Anticipation, further expansion. Okay.
So the next steps, Harvey's and the pre-engineering group are going to work closely with the team. We're looking at every facet with this building to look at the efficiencies and the design features to make sure that the constructability is, the longevity of the materials are key. Lisa, I can tell you, I've worked with a lot of Department of Public Works, and I can't tell you the level of detail she's putting into the effort of this building. I commend her for it, because there's not a lot of Department of Public Works directors that get that deeply involved in ensuring, like, to the point where the exterior facade is a certain way, but the interior components and the function of the building, even to the traffic flow level of detail, it's phenomenal. So her guidance through this process has been, instrumental at getting the building that you're going to deserve.
If I may opine to that, look at this building. A lot of this has
Yeah,
director
absolutely.
photos,
Absolutely.
footprint from the color scheme to everything else like that. So very nice, yes.
We did discuss Nashua's color of purple into this, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, the house next door to me is.
GSI has been on site. They're the group that's doing the additional test pits. That's happening July 2nd. I know it's going to be a tough week, a lot of, time off during that period, but most of our consultants are still working through that process to make sure that we meet our deadlines. We're coordinating with the fine materials overall functionality of the project as we move forward. We're working closely with all of the consultants from HKT. The civil engineer has begun prepping for the permitting. AOT the submission is a priority for us. The tasks are being tracked on a weekly basis. As I indicated, we met with them today. Each of the divisions are going to be putting together a deliverable list and a required timeline associated with it so that we can disclose that information not only to the aldermen and the joint committee, but to the city to make sure that we're on track. And if we start going off the rails, why and how we're going to come back. And then Harvey will continue to review the constructability and identify cost savings as we move forward. We've already done that, and they attend every weekly meeting with us. So their pre-design group is comments throughout this whole process. As the designer comes with some ideas and the city comes up with theirs, we're looking at it from our expertise and the CM's expertise to make sure that the efficiencies are there as well. And that's it.
So relative to a quick financial update, just so folks know progress-wise where we're at, Harvey is underway or has just concluded a costing exercise, which appears to be we're on track, maybe slightly over projections, but looking to do some value engineering over the next couple weeks, see if we can get that alignment. I anticipate at next month's meeting we'll be able to give a little bit more robust financial update once we've concluded the exercise that we're currently under, but I did want to just quickly touch upon that for for the group, because the project cost is as we know, is a big driver of this project. So that concludes, Mr. Chairman, the project update for this evening.
Thank you, Director Cummings. At this time, I'll open up to questions from members of the committee. Alderman Thibodeau.
Just for my own understanding, what is AOT?
Yep. Do you want me? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
So AOT is an acronym that we use for an alteration of terrain permit, which is a state-level permit that projects in the state are required to obtain before any type of major construction or earth movement occurs.
Thank you.
Further questions by the board? Seeing none, gentlemen, I thank you for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
a copy of the presentation will go to Donna.
Yes,
Yes.
correct. Yes.
And on that note, Director Cummings, could you be a carrier
Absolutely.
of tonight's minutes to give to Ms. Graham, our administrative assistant, please?
Absolutely.
Since we're off location.
Yep. At the end of this evening, I
will
will,
give that to you.
yes, I will hand them off.
She's on vacation for a week, so you give them the
Susan, yeah.
Susan Bailey, no problem. Happy
Yes,
to do it.
okay.
Yep.
And I will give this to you.
All right, very good. Okay, we're now going to move on to approval of voices for the DPW garage projects. Alderman Clay, do you have a motion?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chairman. I motion to approve the May 31st, 2025 Left Field LLC invoice in the amount of $22,000.
Okay, you all heard the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Clay, do you have an additional motion?
I most certainly do. I motion to approve an invoice for the services through 4/30/2025 with HKT Architects Incorporated in the amount of $228,009.55.
Any discussion on that particular motion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move on to general progress update of the wastewater treatment facility. And we'll be discussing overall project update, designs update, the concept plan, and discussion on next steps. So
Mr.
look
Chairman?
ahead.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Point of order, I see there's another invoice dated 6/24 for $341,000 on the agenda.
I think this is the update.
It is
Oh,
It
you're
isn't
going
on
off
my-
of the outline? It's not on the outline?
It's not on the
not on
outline
the
again.
outline.
So this happened
I-
yesterday when this was printed
Yeah,
in
why
advance?
is this happening? You're making
Well, that's why you gave me the printed copy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
We're
so you had
gonna
an,
pause
yeah. But
on the wastewater
concern that
to
what we're
get
seeing
this
isn't accurate.
particularly done.
So
You
this is
have
what
it?
Donna expedites.
Okay.
So
Actually, yeah, this is,
John, the blue one.
no, the blue one's wrong.
Oh, the blue one is wrong.
The one I
Looking at
gave,
the one
Okay,
online.
fantastic.
This one is right.
that one is
So
right.
which one is it? I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yep, 341.
I'm concerned.
right.
The hard copy is
I'm sorry. It's the 341,000?
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what you're
right.
saying?
The blue one is
Yeah.
out of date.
341,
188,
188 and 58 cents.
58 cents. Okay.
Okay. Alderman Clay, do you have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I motion to approve an invoice for services, I'm sorry, to approve for services through 6/24/2025 with HKT Architect Service, services with HKT Architect Services for 6/24/2025 in the amount of $341,188.58.
Okay, any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote, and when this gets transcribed, please include it, because it wasn't on
I
the
will
original.
write this, I will write it on this
Okay.
note. here.
So therefore, I will call for the vote. All
Does-
those in favor?
Before we vote, does,
So we don't have the information.
right, so I think
Yeah, so can I
Director
speak?
Cummings needs to speak to it.
Yeah, thank you. So what I believe happened is maybe some packets were printed out
Right.
earlier than when the agenda was updated. As I announced at the top of the meeting, we had some amendments to the agenda, which are publicly noticed appropriately and online, but if you had printed them earlier than that, and which I believe is probably what happened with Ms. Graham, I'm not sure about what may have happened with DPW, but that's probably what happened, which is why there's a little bit of a technical issue right now.
Okay. Yes, Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm seeing the invoice on page 35 of 44 on the online packet. So I have it.
That's,
I do have it.
so again, it's correctly done, and it's online correctly. It's just if packets were printed earlier than when the amended agenda came out, that's why you have just a little outdated
Yeah.
information.
And that is why, without objection, why I'm not accepting new communications before the agenda was prepared, because it sounds like it was done. Some of us just don't have the completely hot off the press issue.
Correct.
Okay, so if that is okay, so again, to revisit, no discussion on the motion?
Do the other members need to be explained what
Yeah,
this is
can
for?
somebody, because what is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay,
saying. They
direct-
need-
Absolutely, I'm sorry.
They
So.
need to understand what this is for.
So what you have is, before you is the services that were rendered by our architecture firm, HKT, basically through June 24th of 2025. It's for the design services that we basically saw this evening, for the work that's been done for folks' edification. We are probably approximately a third of the way through design at this time. This is what this amount of money essentially represents. It has been reviewed and vetted and is being recommended for approval this evening.
Okay,
Yep,
on
absolutely.
Director Cummings' explanation, any discussion? Further discussion? Okay, seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Cleat, a new, updated edition.
So I believe that's all there is for
Right.
approvals for invoices, Mr. Chairman, this evening. At this point, if we
Now
could, we
what
could
it is.
segue to a general update on the wastewater treatment plant, which I'd like to kick off and then hand it over to Mr. Sullivan.
We're good.
Okay, we're good. All right, all right, Mr. Sullivan, you are hereby, Director Cummings.
Yes,
correct.
thank you. So we don't have a presentation yet this evening because we are very early on in the development of this project. And what Mr. Sullivan and maybe even Director Foto will talk a little bit about is the work that's been to date, which is really developing of a concept plan. Once we get through that exercise, we will then really start design in earnest. I anticipate a proposal being approved later on this evening that would actually authorize the design work to take place. And that work is what will lead towards the presentations that you'll start to see over the following months and the work that develops the pictures that we don't have right now. So with that being said, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Sullivan, who can talk a little bit about the concept planning effort that's taken place to date.
Thank you, Director.
Mr. Sullivan, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, believe it or not, a lot of background activity has already occurred with the wastewater maintenance facility. The facility, the city, and the architect attended a 6-hour charrette. And a charrette is basically a program design meeting to talk about all of the essentials necessary for this building. We physically walked the site to see the locality of it. We looked at the functionality as far as traffic patterns, flow traffic coming into the waste treatment plant. So there's been a lot of discussion on that. The first part of the process is typically figuring out what exactly is the necessity within that structure. And that tells us like how many people are working there, what type of equipment is needed in there, how many vehicles are going to be stored in that particular facade. And what they do at that point, they take that and they come up with a square footage and they create a box. And all that box is showing the outlines of that all of those components can fit in there. It doesn't necessarily mean it's positioned appropriately, that's part of the design as it evolves. That's one portion of it. It also gives, it starts to give us an overall square footage of a particular building, and it gives us the opportunity to take that square box, as I indicated, as part of the shred, and start placing it on the site to make sure it fits, and make sure that maybe, you know, we have to reposition it in an L shape, or well, we have to do an entranceway over, or the elevations may not work because of some stipulations on gradation. So the part of that group meeting was equipment. We have a specialist that HKT brought on that identifies all the specialized equipment that that building might particularly need. And that gives us an identified equipment list to figure out costs, because all of this is going to evolve into an overall budget. And that's what our job is, to figure out initially what's the size of the building, what are the components, and what are the needs for it, and then looking at the site and locality to figure out, you know, the cost conceptions with it. So all of that happened. They're in the process of currently working and it's conceptual. Obviously, they're going to come up with that design. We'll meet again with the city and the department to make sure what they heard and what they're designing is what they need. That's what it comes down to. So once that, we're working through that right now. As Director Cummings had indicated, the next phase is going to be moving the engineers and architect to get us to moving into that locality where we can actually start to format a design plan that'll not only show on the civil drawings, but it'll show on the site that the building works and it'll flow appropriately. Any questions?
Any questions, members of the committee?
Yes.
I think I know the answer, but I assume this is enterprise funds?
Yes. Yes. So if I could, Mr. Chairman, to speak to that.
Please.
So this is a capital project that is planned on and has been known and is a project that has been through the appropriate vetting process. We are in the early stages of developing a project cost for it. So we're at a point now where we're looking to take the work that's been done to date through that charrette process, and then we're going to move towards starting to develop the design. That initial design will tell us what we anticipate the total project cost to be. And so that's why this evening you're going to see a wastewater treatment plant project proposal for HKT Architect to do schematic design only for $180,000. And Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if you want me to go further in my comments on that particular proposal, or because we're not at that agenda item. Happy to leave my comments there for right now and then continue on as appropriate, but I do want to talk about that when it's the appropriate time.
Yeah, you might have to clue me. I wonder if that was also,
So that's the last item on your agenda, but
Okay.
it reads 868,970.
Right.
And what it should read is 180,000.
okay.
We've made some, we had some,
Late, last minute adjustments yesterday when we were meeting with the architect and to telegraph the comments that I was about to make when we got to that agenda item. We weren't ready or comfortable yet to suggest that we authorize almost $1 million in design work. We wanted to take a little bit more of an incremental step, so we're suggesting this evening that we only do the 180,000. Then we can come back to you with a little bit more of an understanding of the total project cost design, and also have an understanding of what all the other soft costs may look like. And then we can talk about how we want to move the project forward once we have a little bit more information.
Alderman Dow.
Yeah, this already got vetted through CIC and was ranked and...
Correct. Yes, yes, Alderman Dowd.
And one question from me. This will assist us with our permits, but the state, federal, EPA, and everything else like that, it is, a lot of this is, I'm sure, potentially mandated to basically put back
Yep.
cleaner water than what we're taking
Well,
out.
yes, absolutely. The overall genesis for why we're doing the project, and then the project itself is going to need some permitting. We're not at that level of design yet to know what the permits are, but I anticipate us knowing that by the time we conclude this phase of the process.
Okay, thank you. Open up for questions from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of invoices, wastewater treatment facility, and there is none, correct?
None.
Okay. An approval of contracts, proposals, and amendments. Alderman Clay.
Yes, at this time, I motion to approve a contract proposal with Geotechnical Services Incorporated to provide geotechnical engineering services for DPW project test pits in the amount of $900.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Clay, an additional motion?
Yes. I motion to approve a contract fee proposal for the schematic design development, and permitting phases of designer services for the wastewater maintenance and storage garage project with HKT Architects Incorporated in the amount of $180,000.
Okay, any discussion on the motion?
I don't think that
Alderman
motion was
Sullivan.
correct.
So in the packet, there are a lot of red lines or crossouts on here. So I'm assuming that the contract that I'm looking at with all the crossouts, that would have been for $868,000. However, with all of the amendments you made, you brought it down to 180.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
We should also clarify, this is for schematic only.
Correct. Schematic design.
All right,
Schematic design only.
yep.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner Espedia.
No, which I think is right. I think we're still in the early phases of this project, and I think starting off early with the schematics makes a lot of sense. So I appreciate y'all taking a look and, starting off with schematics, and then we can see from there where we go. So, but I am in favor of it.
Okay, additional questions or comments? Director Cummings.
Yes, thank you. Just so folks are aware that if this is approved this evening, I would anticipate approximately 8-week timeframe for the development of the design. So you could look to see something in an end of August, type timeframe, maybe in the September meeting. But in that type of timeframe, I would look to come back before you to have a more earnest conversation. And I just wanted to make the group aware of that.
And in your crystal ball, shovel ready by spring?
Oh, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. I think what we need to all be cognizant of is as we trade off on not progressing the design as quickly, we are not going to be able to make commitments to get construction underway. And so I think, that would be hard for me to say at this time. So folks are aware, I wouldn't necessarily plan on it for then, but hopefully in calendar year 26, absolutely.
Okay. And the reason I brought it up, Director Cummings, is because fortunately or unfortunately, you had to put it somewhere, the sewage treatment plant is surrounded by a residential neighborhood, and I'm sure they would appreciate a heads up. I'm sure they're not going to be, they flush too, so I bet they would be very happy that it's handled, but to let at least out there that they know that a pending project is in the wings.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yep.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Director Cummings. Part of our process and our involvement will be public outreach. So,
Okay.
our goal is, once we have a more defined program, we'll start to do that public outreach. And that could be a public forum, it could be a locality, and we'd like to do that for a number of different reasons. There'll be a number for them to contact. It won't be the cities, it's going to be ours, because we're the ones running the project. We want to be able to handle that. And I want to hear some of their concerns as we move forward and with the building. And the other part of it is where you had mentioned the construction. Typically, most designers take 10 months to really get a good set of drawings together. We're looking at this building and hopefully maybe even looking at a pre-engineered building for this facility as well, to try to save and curb costs. So, to get a building out, for pricing or a CM or whether we design bid build, the issues come down to when you really rush a designer, you end up having deficiencies in the specifications and drawings, and I hate change orders. So we're going to make sure that the design is 100% before it goes out onto the street. So when I look at every one of you and said we're on time and under budget, I can say that truthfully. Okay?
I appreciate that, that you notify the community.
Okay.
Yeah. Further questions or comments? Okay, then I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Other expenditures for approval?
None?
Okay. Old business?
None?
Okay. And Alderman Cleese, favorite motion?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, if I may, one last.
Yes, you may.
So want to just talk about two things before we adjourn this evening. One, the next time we meet, I'm thinking the next time we meet would be in an August or September timeframe. Don't think we necessarily need to get together in the month of July. I'm going to suggest maybe after this meeting, August 22nd, August 23rd, whatever that date is.
The next Board of Public Works.
Yeah, if that works for the group, we can certainly look towards that, or if other folks have a different idea, happy to entertain that, but I wanted to just telegraph that we won't be meeting in July, probably the end of August.
Would be the August meeting?
Yep.
Okay, let me,
Probably the end of August would be the next time we would get together. And then my last comment, I put in the updated packets, which you might not have, just the design of the sign for 848 West Hollis Street. Again, nothing that we need to discuss here this evening, but I know there was conversation about it. So if you wanted to see what that design looks like, it is in your packet for you to see for reference. So that's all I have this evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, yes, Alderman Cleese.
Oh, so when would be the potential
August 28th.
August 28th? Okay. That's the potential, August 28th.
Mhm.
And that would be here, okay.
Not-
Same time.
At 5:30?
I would say 5:30, yes.
5 or 5:30, we'll see.
I think, and actually,
We finished early.
well, so we're going to need to talk about that at another point in time. I've heard some commentary about maybe trying to start at 6 PM as well.
Oh, okay.
So from some members of the committee. So offline, I'll talk to everyone, see if we can figure that out as well. But at this time, we'll say 5:30. And
Okay.
we'll go from there.
It's at 6, bring pizza.
And I will bring pizza.
Pepperoni?
If that's the preference.
If that's the chair's preference.
That was the big question.
Okay,
But Alderman Dow, that's the same
so we're
night
looking to
as-
meet August...
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Sorry,
Yes, I'm sorry.
sorry. That's the same night as joint special
Yep,
at
Yeah.
7, so I just wanted
we might have to move it to 7:30,
to, okay,
Yeah.
your call.
so we have time to eat.
Okay, we have a tentative date before us of August 28th, 5:30. That's no conflict with Labor Day or anything?
No, that's a Thursday.
Okay.
We still celebrate Labor Day on Mondays.
Okay. I don't care where.
So far.
I'm celebrating, okay. All right, very good. Now, Alderman Clay.
If everybody's okay, yes. I motion to adjourn.
Okay, there's a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I thank you all for coming, and I declare the meeting closed at 6:19.